and we're going to be blowing some hot glass into the snow. It's going to be quite fun. Today it is just me. My name is Dominique Casey, and my mother, Anne-Marie Casey.
Hello.
And because it's just the two of us, you get to see me smile. So most of my demos I'm wearing masks because we have guests, and we will have a guest next week, but this week it's just us within our little pod, and it's nice to be a little more free for a demo. And let's see. So I just want to thank you all my internet friends for joining in every week. It's really nice to spend some virtual time with you. And we've been going live on Instagram now for a couple weeks, but for Facebook it's probably been a few months. I'm grateful for you to spend your time with me in my special space. This is what we call the hot shop here at Glass. And in the hot shop is where we blow glass on these long rods. Today I have a hollow one. Trying to make sure it's all cleaned off. There's no sit on it or anything, so nothing gets inside of our dish. So I'm heating it up a little. But you see this is about 5 feet long, and it's hollow. So I'm going to go get a little bit of glass out of my furnace. My furnace runs at 2,200 degrees. We run it all the time. Inside is a big ceramic pot full of a pool of melted clear glass. I'll show you what I got in a minute. But basically it's so hot it maybe looks orange to you, or maybe the camera can't even quite focus on it, but it's really just clear. Today we did a little poll in our Facebook group, Friends of Glass, and everyone decided we were going to make a turquoise dish. So I've got some turquoise color right here. For our glassy people that like to talk in numbers, we've got R55. This color is a little tricky because it likes to kind of come out not as vibrant as I'd like. So I got a thicker version of it, which means it likes to blow out a little funny. So of course, all of my friends in my Facebook group chose a hard color for me, but I'm a blue person, so I'll take it, that's for sure. We want the inside of our dish to be very vibrant, so I'm gonna roll in that color multiple times. In between every time I roll, I'm reheating in my reheating furnace. So this runs even hotter than my regular furnace, but I turn this on and off every day that we're going to be working. Pre-COVID, it was 6+ days a week. Now with COVID, I usually just get to work 1 or 2 days a week, but for that I'm very grateful. You see I've got a lot of color on here, making sure it's really dense, and then we're gonna pop a bubble. Glass blowing isn't typically always about blowing. If you're thinking about a paperweight or a flower or a sun catcher, we do consider that hand-blown glass, but it's not actually blown. This will actually physically be blown. Before I blow into the glass though, I need to make sure it's nice and organized. So I've got this table right here, and it's just really thick metal. And I'm doing what we call marvering, M-A-R-V-E-R, which is basically just using the metal to organize the glass so that when I blow my bubble, I'll have a nice, neat, tidy, organized bubble. If I make a crooked bubble, I'll have a crooked core and probably a crooked dish. Sorry for the loud noise, but what I did was I forced some air into the end of the blowpipe and I captured it with my thumb. As the air travels up the blowpipe, the heat causes the air to expand, and then we get our bubble. Maybe I want a little more air in there. So for some parts of glass blowing, as you can see, there really is physical blowing. As you can also imagine, this is not a very COVID-friendly activity. I've now got a hollow bubble in there. And for this particular piece, we're going to do 3 layers. So I'm going to let this cool down for just a moment before I go back in the furnace and wrap a layer of clear glass around it. This will be our first layer. We'll go ahead and for our second layer. We don't want to go in the furnace when we're too hot. Otherwise, we could drop some color in the furnace, or I could lose my whole bubble. It could collapse. So we wait till it's cold, which is around a little over 1,000 degrees. And now I know I'm ready to go back in. So I'm dipping the glass in the furnace, doing a nice full circle, coming out of the furnace, and you see I have a lot more material because we've been working all day long and the furnace is getting kind of low. I got some yucky glass. So what I'm doing right here is I'm cutting out any bubbles that might be around the surface. So this isn't a typical step, but it's something that I do if I'm nitpicking, and we don't want these kind of bubbles in our piece. Later, we'll get bubbles from the Crackle design, and those are fine bubbles. These surface bubbles, not quite so much. So I am a bubble picker. I actually pick the bubbles and then I flick them all around if you didn't notice. I'm gonna reheat this, get it a little more organized, and then we're gonna start going in our next color. Our next color is in the form of powdered glass, so it's really, really fine glass. I'm gonna keep it under the hood over there. Ideally, we'd want like a little booth with a fan or a little vacuum to suck up any of the powder that's going in the air. I don't typically make a lot of work with powder, so I don't have one of those here. And just for today, we'll keep it under the fan, but you do want to be thoughtful about powdered glass. I'm organizing it, and then I'm going to start rolling in the color. All of this color that we're using is actually kind of a bit of a surprise. Like I said, I don't really make things with powdered glass, so I don't buy it and keep it in stock for products like we do every other color. So I actually got this color, I call it my Craigslist color. I got it all from a guy that had retired from glass a long time ago. And it's all pretty much unlabeled, but we know it's the same coefficient as the glass in my furnace, or the same type of glass. We call that coefficient of expansion, or COE. So when you're talking to people about different types of glass, they all have a different number. That's the COE. The type of glass that I melt is COE 96 to 97. That part's a little hairy. But as long as they're within, a few COE degree radius, usually it all stays together. If you melt glasses from different COEs together, they cool at different rates, and then they reject each other, which usually means they break or explode or pop. So everyone always asks me if I can take their old bottle glass and crush it up. And the answer is always no, because it's a different COE. That glass is made on a production line that's made really fast. It's made in a style to heat and cool quickly. This glass doesn't need quite so much heat, so that's convenient. I'm gonna shape it a little more, but I'm gonna make my bubble a little bigger, and then we're gonna shock it in water. So the reason that I am using powder, like I said, it's different than what I normally use, is because it likes to make this crackle design more. And the crackle design, I would describe it like dinosaur skin. So ideally what will happen is the turquoise will stay hot deep inside, and all the powder on the outside will freeze. So the turquoise will kind of peek through and we'll get a really cool look. For this demo, I did say that we were going to crackle it in snow, but for full transparency, we made a few earlier, and thank goodness we did. We'll see how it comes out in the annealer, but it looks like snow doesn't give us quite the same effect. It looked really pretty, but we'll do a little bit of both. So I dumped it in water, it cracked the outside, got some air in there. We'll do it again. The goal is to keep the inside hot, the outside cold, the outside freezes up, and the inside pokes through. Like I said, we did do a few of these earlier today, and guess what? For anybody on our Facebook group, we did the second, third, and fourth place choices from our poll. So we'll get to see what all the colors look like, and that will be quite fun. Maybe you might change your mind on what your choice should have been. And it looks like we're a little frozen up, but let's watch how this melts with snow in just a minute. I'm going to heat and organize my glass, make sure my bubble's still in there. But I think it's fun to see just how hot this glass is, because we can't quite fathom it. You know, when you're looking at one of these fires over here, you can compare it to a campfire, but it doesn't come anywhere close. A campfire is just a normal, regular fire. These have like a blue flame. And that's because we're mixing air with the propane, and it makes it really, really hot. So I heated this all up. I'm going to organize it a little. Something funny going on. It's probably the turquoise. All my friends have to make my life hard, huh? I'm just kidding. The turquoise is really dense in there. Sorry for all the funny blowing sounds. But we got our bubble and ready. Let's shock this with the snow. You see how the snow just melts immediately. And I do think it gives a good effect. It kind of seems to make all the powder clump on itself, which could be cool. The frustrating part with glass is that you actually never know until it's cooled down. Yeah. But we will know by the end of the day tomorrow. I try to post the results of these demos up on our main Facebook page, but admittedly, oftentimes it only goes in our Facebook group. Just one more reason for you to join us over there. Our Facebook group is where we post a little bit more behind the scenes, and we've got a whole bunch of amazing, really interactive people on there, so we love and appreciate you all. Alright, I'm going to go back in the furnace, wrap some clear glass around this, and get our third layer. So I'm in my furnace. I'm right near the bottom of the pot. So admittedly we are getting a whole bunch of yucky glass, but actually the crackle pattern makes a lot of bubbles too. So it's a little hard to discern what's glass from the furnace and what's not. The ones where I'm going to be a bubble picker and a bubble flicker, just to make sure that none of these surface bubbles ruin our piece later. So I've got these metal scissors, the hard-earned skill right here. One of my talents. If I ever need a glass job, I'll make sure to tell any production studio that I'm excellent at picking out bubbles. Totally get a job for setting up pieces. Alright, bubbles are picked and we're ready to continue on. What I'm pulling out of the bucket of water behind me are called wood blocks. They're made out of fruit wood, usually apple or cherry, and they hang out in water, become really waterlogged. So when they hit the heat of the glass, they create a layer of steam in between the glass and the wood. So the glass actually rolls and shapes on the steam. A little too big for that size. What I'm using right here is one of my favorite tools. Well, it's actually my second favorite tool. This is my new favorite tool. But that tool is called the paper. So really it's just newspapers folded up, waterlogged, and it's the closest I get to being able to touch the glass with my hands. In glass blowing, we're always stuck using tools as extensions of our hands. So to be able to touch and form and shape something really is ideal. Now it's time to keep blowing it out. So remember, this is a bubble. We are making a hollow form. I'm going to heat it up, shape it on the table just a smidge. Got a little funny stuff from my bubble picking time. And you're going to notice when I'm on the table, I'm going to focus most of the mass that I'm touching the table with is going to be the tip of the bubble, because that's going to be the bottom of the dish. So I want it to blow out where the glass meets the pipe. I will freeze this bottom part right here, leaving it nice and thick. We call this marvering the tip, or if you're a student, I always joke to make a sharp crayon. And then we'll blow. So I'm physically just blowing on the end of the blowpipe. Do that one more time, and we'll keep shaping the dish. When we're making pieces like this, we kind of have to just stick the whole thing in this reheating piece of equipment right here. So we have to be strategic about it. I'm working on the top of the dish now. Once I like that, I'll work on the bottom, and then I flip it over. So by working on the top, I mean I'm putting air into the top. And we're getting much bigger, right? Typically, in traditional style glass blowing, you have an assistant hang out on the end of the bench and follow your pipe to blow. That is not ideal, even in not COVID times. So I have this rubber blow hose attached onto the end of my blowpipe, and you see I have it in the corner of my mouth. So I'm able to do 2 jobs in one. So it makes my life a little harder because I have to concentrate on a lot of stuff, but it gives me a lot more control. So right now, I'm going to heat it up and keep doing it, but my right hand is shaping, my left hand is spinning, my mouth is blowing and talking at the same time. And the whole time I'm just trying to keep it on center. So, but what I mean by on center, we're on center here, we're off center, right? This is our challenge. This is a liquid, it likes to move. And you want to keep it even and on center. Where I'm touching right now will be the lip of the dish. And this will be the bottom. I'm just going to do that one more time. It'll really start looking like a dish. Notice it's this dance where I get it as hot as I can control it. Then I sit down and I use that heat to do the next step. Then it's cold again, so I gotta pop up, get it as hot as I can control it, go sit down and use that heat. Making sure it'll break off here later. And now it works the sides and the bottom. So right here will be where it sits on the table. I'm going to make sure it sits just a little flatter. I'll just heat the very bottom, and then I'm going to use some air to force the bottom of the bowl into my metal paddle or my fancy new tag. And that is my new favorite tool because it's new and it was relatively clean. Does a good job, right? $100 well spent. Glass blowing is very expensive. And this tool is so worth it. Okay. So we see our dish. I'll give you a little perspective. I'm really hot, so I'm going to let it cool down. Take that. This is how it's going to sit on the table. Imagine my hand is the table. And this is how hot it is. I really can't get any closer than that. But in order to open up the lip, I've got to do something, right? So I'm going to flip it over onto what we call a punty. P-U-N-T-Y. And that will support the weight of the dish while I open up the lip. So I'm getting a solid rod with a little bit of glass on the end. Quick flash. My mom's babysitting the vessel. If it gets too cold, it's going to break. So she's going in the heat for just a moment, but not so long that it'll start moving around on us again. I'm shaping my punty till it's a little pointy. And now I'm going to attach it on the bottom of the dish. So I do apologize for the bum right now, but I'm on the bottom of the vessel. I can see it's a little hot. I'm going to give it a little time. Got to find a reason to use my new tool whenever I can. And then I'm going to drop a bunch of water on the lip, and vibration will break it at its weakest point. So if all goes according to plan, the weakest point will be on the top. So now I'm free from that blowpipe, and I'm on this solid rod, and I'll be able to open it. I'll let you see what we got. So you can see the hole maybe. It's a little bright. gonna open that hole. And inside of there is our turquoise color, which we might be able to see a little bit of today, but not so much, because it will never get below 1,000 degrees. And if it does, we'll know about it because it'll very likely break. So this heat does take a moment. And while I'm spending some time heating this up, I'm going to talk about what we're doing next week. So my friend Shane has been quarantining. He's going to come up and visit. Super excited. And he has a really complicated Venetian cane style technique that he wants to play with. And I don't know if you know me, but I am so down. So we'll probably break a whole bunch of stuff, but it's going to be really fun. And from my perspective, when we're doing things like this, I don't even care if it works. As long as we do cool stuff, have a lot of fun, I don't even need a piece to show for it. But if all goes according to plan, we'll have a very fancy cane piece by the end of the demo. Shane is also a flame worker, so he works on the torch independently. And we're going to do an adults-only demo Tuesday night, live on Facebook and Instagram, where he's going to do some work on the torch. So we'll probably do it at 8 o'clock. We'll make a Facebook event to confirm. But it is going to be a 21 plus kind of demo. Shane specializes in smokeware, we say, and he'll probably make some kind of rig. So Shane does the kind of work I do, which you see right here, which is pretty much art glass, an old style glass, but he also is self-employed making a whole different style of glass. I often get requests for different styles of glass than what I do, and the answer always is like, that's not what I do. It might be glass, but it's not my skill set. So it'll be nice for you to see somebody else with a different strong skill set. Paddle on. Paddle off. So for instance, sometimes we get custom orders for other types of glass, like scientific glass. So if you're looking at beakers and really fancy apparatuses, oftentimes we get custom order requests for that as well. And once more, yes, I do glass, but I don't specialize in that kind of glass. There's a whole bunch of different types of glass. They all have different COEs, like you learned earlier in the demo. And they take different years and years and years of practice to get that skill set down. Paddle on. I'm shaping the walls of the vessel, paddle off. And my mom's got a wooden paddle. She's just making sure the lip stays straight. I can't decide if we like it. Maybe we want to open it up more. We'll heat it up and open it up one more time. So do mark your calendars though, for every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And if you can't make it, we'll always keep the video up on our Facebook and Instagram page so you can watch it later. And for a bonus, about a week after usually, I get them up on our little YouTube channel. So you can check them out in that format too if you'd like. YouTube is a new thing for me, but I am working on getting 100 subscribers, paddle on, paddle off. And not 100 subscribers, I can start customizing things more. So if you use YouTube, please check it out. I'm just gonna nitpick this one more time. And then if you watch our normal live videos, you go in the far corner of the room for the break off. But we've got a little setup going on over here so that you'll be able to see the end. Paddle on, paddle off. No. Here's my vessel. I'll flash and show you one more time. fire blanket, and a butter knife. Here's our dish. Looks pretty good, right? We did good. We'll see if we like the color choices. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on my punty and say a prayer to the glass gods that the punty will release my dish. I've got a butter knife, tapping, reminding it, please break here, please break here, please break here. And then vibration breaks us free. That always leaves a sharp spot. So I'm going to fire polish it smooth. And then I've got some Kevlar gloves that can just barely take the current temperature of the glass. And the glass is also cooling down really rapidly. So I'm gonna run it away really fast. A, because my hands are burning. And B, because if it stays out in the air for much longer, then the glass will break. But it will go in my kiln, which is at 960 degrees, and it'll cool down real slow. Yay! Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want to see the results on how these came out, find us on Facebook, Friends of Terrapin Glass. We post a whole bunch of stuff there, and we totally appreciate your interaction and your support. One last thing, our amazing friend Cynthia from Dark Mark Tattoo and King designed us a new hoodie design. So they are up on our website. We're taking pre-orders, so you can choose your own color and your own size, and it's a way to support us and support another local artist, and you have a really great zippy hoodie to rock. We're picking a new style this time. So please check those out, and we would appreciate your purchase. But otherwise, we'll see you next week, and we'll have Shane with us. Bye.